This is a claim circulating widely in political debate, that Canada's climate investments are outpacing fiscal capacity and threatening economic stability. In this presentation, we'll look at the facts behind that claim, using data from the federal budget and independent fiscal and environmental experts. No, the claim is not supported by the evidence. While Canada is making significant investments in climate and environmental initiatives, these represent a modest share of overall federal spending. The main contributors to rising deficits are operational program costs, slow growth, and higher debt servicing expenses, not climate policy. Canada's fiscal position remains stable and credible, and climate spending is structured as productive capital investment, not reckless consumption. Budget 2025 sets a clear fiscal anchor. The goal is to balance daily operating spending with revenues by 2028 to 29, while maintaining a declining deficit to GDP ratio. The budget commits roughly $280 billion in accrual terms, or $450 billion cash, over 5 years for capital investments that include infrastructure, clean energy, and competitiveness measures. The projected federal deficit sits around $78.3 billion in 2025 to 26, with gradual reductions over time. According to independent analyses, including RBC Economics, Canada's debt-to-GDP ratio of about 43% remains below historic highs and lower than most G7 peers. These figures confirm that fiscal risks are being managed through transparency and a long-term investment lens. Environmental and climate investments form a small fraction of total federal expenditures. The Canadian Climate Institute notes that the clean electricity and industrial carbon pricing measures in Budget 2025 are a good first step, far from excessive. Meanwhile, the David Suzuki Foundation points out that fossil fuel subsidies and LNG infrastructure spending still continue, showing the government is not prioritizing climate at any cost. Most experts agree that deficits stem from broader structural spending pressures, not a surge in climate investment. In short, Canada's environmental commitments are balanced and fiscally contained within the wider budget plan. The government's fiscal framework does recognize risks, but these are tied to project execution and productivity, not runaway environmental spending. Because Canada's debt burden remains moderate and its fiscal anchors credible, there's no indication of a climate-related fiscal crisis. However, the success of the strategy depends on delivering climate projects efficiently, ensuring they generate growth and technological competitiveness that justify the borrowing. The evidence shows it is not true that climate action spending is driving Canada's deficits or threatening fiscal stability. Canada's fiscal challenges are structural, driven by slower growth, higher costs, and post-pandemic adjustments. Climate spending is part of a broader capital strategy that invests in productivity, energy security, and future resilience. In short, Canada is investing for the long term, not overspending in pursuit of environmental goals. The Department of Finance, 2025. Budget 2025, our plan, Building Canada Strong, provides the official data confirming deficit levels, fiscal anchors, and the balance between operational and capital expenditures. The Canadian Climate Institute, 2025. Budget 2025 takes clear steps to strengthen Canada's climate competitiveness. Contributed insights showing climate measures remain targeted and proportionate to the overall fiscal plan. The David Suzuki Foundation, 2025. Canada's 2025 budget sends mixed messages on climate action, leaves nature in limbo. Offered a critical but balanced environmental perspective illustrating that fossil subsidies continue alongside climate spending. RBC Economics, 2025. High stakes, narrow margins, Canada's federal budget bets on investment-led growth. Provided macroeconomic data on debt-to-GDP ratios, productivity assumptions, and capital investment returns. Deloitte Canada, 2025. Federal Budget 2025. Supplied financial analysis explaining how climate spending fits within the broader national investment strategy. Viewers can pause here to review the full citations and follow links to the source material. There is much more fact-checking information to discover.